Happy New Year. I'm back. And I'm back to ask you if you are emotionally competent. Are you emotionally competent? And the reason that I'm asking this is because the body and the mind are inseparable. And I want to go through a couple of different organs and the emotion that corresponds to that organ to see if maybe there's something deeper that you can look towards aside from medicine and herbs and different things that you can contribute towards your healing process if it is emotional. I'm going to run down a few of them. Fear. Fear is the emotion of the kidneys and the bladder. Think about if you have kidney and bladder issues, what are you in fear of? Is it a fear of new change, the life direction, unstable living conditions? Fear, kidneys and bladder. Grief and depression are the emotions of the lungs and the intestines. When unresolved issues, it becomes chronic. And then you have depression and an inability to let go of things that interfere with lung function and oxygen circulation. Worry and nervousness, emotion of the spleen and the stomach, which a lot of people know that from when they have the gut feeling, because you have there's 1 million nerve cells that's around your gut lining. And I said it in my last video that your gut does a majority of the communication to your brain. So you want to make sure that you have a clean, healthy gut, which will give you clean, healthy thoughts. So worry and nervousness are emotions of the spleen and the stomach. Anger and frustration is the emotion of the liver and the gallbladder, organs associated with the wood element. Rage and fury or aggravation can indicate that this energy is in excess. Now, I said in my last video that anger is not a negative emotion. It's an emotion that needs to be expressed. It's when anger turns to rage that we can have a lot of complications balancing out our energy channels. Anger has to be released. You have to be able to acknowledge it, you have to be able to accept it, you have to be able to express it, and then you have to be able to release it. Anger is not a bad emotion. It's staying in the anger until the point where it turns into rage where you can't come back. Repression of anger is actually worse. People that are typically able to express anger and express certain emotions and then move on, they are usually in a better health standard than those that repress their emotions because they are trying to show that I don't get angry. I don't feel these types of negative emotions. Repression will only manifest as disease because anything that your mind and your mouth doesn't do, your body is going to show it. So even if you don't tell me or show anger, I'll be able to see it in your body. I could either see it on you physically or you're going to be able to tell me about it because it's showing up on an organ. Anxiety is the emotion of the large intestine, and that can be detrimentally affected by making us more prone to issues like irritable bowel syndrome and ulcerative colitis. So these are the few diseases that correlates with our major organ systems that we need to actually figure out if we have something in regards to these emotions that we need to dig deep to figure out what it is. Because a lot of people are doing 100 healing mechanisms and aren't getting anything from it because they're not dealing with the emotional aspect of it. Nowadays you go to the doctors and they know so much about this specialized body part or their organ, and they don't understand the human that contains this organ or body part. The human nature has been removed from Western medicine. So you are responsible to deal with the emotional factor that can be contributing to the disease. Now, the emotional competence requirement. Do you have the capacity to feel your emotions so that you're aware when you're experiencing stress? Do you? Think about that. Do you have the ability to express your emotions effectively and thereby able to assert your needs to maintain the integrity of your emotional boundaries? Are the awareness of those genuine needs, they do require satisfaction rather than their repression for the sake of gaining the acceptance or approval of others. You need to see if you are repressing all of your emotion. And one of the emotions that we need to let go of, that is the deepest of negative emotions, is shame. And what I noticed is when it comes to STDs, sexual transmitted diseases, a lot of reasons why people cannot heal from it is because of shame. And when I get emails or DMs from newly created names or made up pages, it's because you're still in shame. And I understand that you want to protect your identity because you still don't understand that this is just like any other disease. I don't see an STD any different from high blood pressure or diabetes, but you do. And until you can release the shame from that disease, if it is any STD, it's not going to leave. The emotional factor has to be addressed along with a cleanse. And then I want to ask you some other questions. Are you incapable of saying no? Think about it. Because saying no to people when you truly want to say no, that is going to release so much tension out of your body. Do you just do everything for everybody else but yourself? Do you put everyone else's feelings before your own feelings? Are you not special enough to be attended to? Think about it. Do you know how to express your feelings about anything to anyone, including yourself? Does your security reside solely on people pleasing? Pleasing everyone else but yourself? Are you in desperate need of approval from other people? Think about it. Because these things, not being able to say no, not being able to express yourself, whether it's from early programming as a child, there are people that are experiencing diseases as adults from issues that they went through as children. You have to go deep, hone in on those issues, whether it is, I wasn't able to express myself as a child and now I can't do it as an adult, so I hold everything in and I have this fire building up inside of me that is going to retain itself in a certain organ. It's going to lodge itself in my heart. It's going to lodge itself in my liver, in my stomach. I have irritable bowel syndrome. I have Crohn's disease. I have all of these different diseases. I have all these gut issues. You want to know why so much people have gut issues right now? Because the gut is the gateway to the brain via the vagus nerve. 80% of the information comes from the gut. So anytime you have a feeling, someone asks you to do something and you're dying to say no, and you start feeling that feeling in your gut, you start having all of these different sensations in your gut, and it goes up to your brain. Each time you go through not saying no, not expressing your true emotions, remaining in a relationship that doesn't serve you, day by day you're doing everything that doesn't serve you, you're going to keep on breaking down your intestinal barrier. So if you do have some type of gut issues, think about it. Think about what stressors you have that's breaking down your intestinal lining, because you have an entire nervous system here that's dependent on you not having chronic stress for it to work smoothly. If you have chronic stress, you're gonna have digestive issues. You're going to have acid reflux. You're going to have irritable bowel syndrome because your nervous system is right here. Don't think of the one here. Treat the one here. This is where it is. And if this and this isn't aligned, then the system of the whole GI tract is going to break down, either in the esophagus, in the stomach. Maybe you have low stomach acid, or in the colon. You're constantly constipated because you're holding in. If you have issues with anyone in your family, if you have childhood issues, it's time to address it. Allow yourself to get angry. Allow yourself, not rage, allow yourself to get angry. Speak to that person if you still can. And if you can't speak to that person, then speak to yourself. Write a letter to yourself. Write a letter to that person. You're doing this for yourself. It's 2021. It's time to release the emotional barricades that are residing within our bodies and harboring and infesting itself inside of multiple organs. You are taking herbs, you are taking medicine, you are undergoing chemo, you are doing all of these things to live, but doing the most important thing: addressing the emotion that caused that disease in the first place. It wasn't genetics. Genetics only allows the susceptibility to get a disease. It does not give you the disease. It's environmental factors, but mostly, how is your homeostasis within your body? Is it wreaking havoc? Do you have hormone systems just bouncing from one area to the other? You got your thyroid gland. Very, very, very important, ladies and gentlemen, especially when it comes to hair growth, hormone balancing, even giving you energy, because your thyroid gland is connected to your mitochondria. Your hormonal system, your immune system, and your nervous system are interconnected. You have to deal with the emotions that's going on inside of you. If it's been burning you up, something that you've been dealing with for 5, 10, 15 years, you have to get it out. I know this because one of the most difficult times in my life, I had to go to meditation to get it out. And I bawled for weeks straight. You can't hold it in. You see that throat chakra? When you hold it in, if you have issues with your thyroid gland, maybe you have a goiter, which is usually a lump that forms here, and it's typically from iodine deficiency. But more importantly, what's going on with your throat chakra? Do you have an inability to communicate, an inability to speak? What's going on? Do you have an issue within your heart chakra? Do you not know how to express love or accept love? Do you push everybody away that tries to get close to you? Get in your heart chakra, throat chakra. Just try to align your entire system. And start so with deep breathing, spending time by yourself, and figuring out what emotional aspect is connected to the dis-ease that I am currently experiencing. I don't care what disease it is. You can be healed. You can heal yourself. You have to dig deep, okay? I love you. Let's take some deep breaths together before I go. Breathe in for 4 breaths. We're going to pause at the top for 4 breaths, and then we're going to release for 8 breaths. We're releasing for 8 seconds. And when you release, you want to pull your stomach all the way in. We're pulling in, and we're breathing out either through your mouth or your nose. So let's try it together. Put your hand on your heart, hand on the gut, and you're going to take a deep breath in for 4. Anytime you're coming across a stressful situation day by day, this is not just from old childhood stuff or old relationship stuff. This is every day. Anytime you're coming through something, stop and breathe and release. Release. Because the moment you begin to release the emotions, body parts start to unfreeze. The stagnation releases. Circulation increases. Your lymphatic system increases. Waste starts to eliminate. Breathe, just breathe. Just breathe.